Thank you, Oleg. Yes, ma'am. What's your name?
Ruby.
Hey, Ruby. Nice name.
Thank you.
Not that Oleg wasn't, but go ahead, Ruby.
I've got someone that's very dear to me that told me the other day that, because she comes from America, and she said, oh, these churches that speak in tongues, they're crazy. But the thing is that she's actually seeing a psychic regularly, and I don't want to say, using the law of logic, I don't want to say, well, seeing a psychic is crazy. Because I mean,
Why don't you tell it to her in tongues? Maybe somebody can interpret it.
So how do I go about it?
Okay, well, I think, I mentioned a book earlier by Greg Koukl called Tactics. Okay. And he has 3 questions in that book that you ought to use whenever you're talking to somebody about issues like this. The first question is, what do you mean by that? So she might say, I'm going to see a psychic, and the psychic is really helping me. My first question is, what do you mean by a psychic? Right? And how is it helping you? The second question is, how did you come to that conclusion? What evidence do you have that this is true? And the third question is, have you ever considered, and then you might add some evidence that counters her impression. You might say, have you ever considered that if you're consulting a psychic, you do believe in a spiritual realm? Do you just believe in a spiritual realm that could be associated with demons? Or do you believe in a spiritual realm that could be associated with God and angels? Right? So the reason you're asking these questions is it's not your job to refute what somebody says. It's that person's job to support what he or she says. Okay. So always ask the question, what do you mean by that? How'd you come to that conclusion? Have you ever considered? By the way, these questions are in our app, the Cross-Examined app, 2 words in the App Store. If you download the Cross-Examined app for free, these questions will be in there. So I would just try and get her to tell you why she thinks that's a good idea, so you can just open up the conversation then. And then you can explain to her why you think the Christian worldview is true. But I would just ask her those questions. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.